Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Saurabh, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everybody. So today is chapter, and this chapter will be a little tough, so pay attention to this because a lot of technical terms will come here. So anyone is going to tell me the name of the chapter? Name of the chapter? Sorry, your voice is very feeble. I can't hear you. 8 is attaining the Supreme. I see the in chat. Yes, yes, Avik. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Akshara Brahma Yoga. Right. So before we start the 8th chapter, let's pay our obeisances to everyone, and let's start off with Mangalacharan. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimura Andasya Jnananjala Chalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadatikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopeshu Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpadarubhyasya Prabhu Tapnepata Hitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vatsadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna, come on all of you.
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Rama
Hare
Rama Rama
Rama
Rama
Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna
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 Krishna Hare
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 Rama
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 Hare
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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Hare Krishna. So now 8th chapter is like a bridge between the 7th and the 9th chapter. Actual bridge, because the 7th chapter as well as the 9th chapter both are talking about devotion, right? So which we will see tomorrow. The 8th chapter actually answers a lot of the technical queries, right? So the technical queries between the two chapters is resolved here. So 8.1, Arjuna is inquiring. Arjuna inquired. You can, whoever wants to read can read. I'll just read the 8.1. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is self? What is fruit of activity? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. And he has some more questions. So yes, 8.2, you can read. So first 1 and 2 are questions by Arjuna. Yes, Janil, Hare Krishna. Yeah, whoever wants to read, please have your, please go ahead, unmute and start with 8.2.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
How does this Lord of Sacrifice live in the body, and in which part does he live, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death?
Hare Krishna. So 8th chapter has 28 verses and has 8 questions. So the questions are coming because of this last of the verses 7.29 and 7. Hare Krishna. Jara marana mokshaya mama shritya yatantiye te brahma tad vidu krishnam adhyatma karma chakilam. Hare Krishna. 7.30. Shadi bhutadi devam sadi yagnam cha ye vidu prayana kale picha mam te vidur yukta chetasaha. Hare Krishna. So very clearly these two raising questions like Brahma, Adi Atma, Adi Deva, Adi Yagna, and Prayana Kale, everybody knows, right? Like the final time. So these technical terms now makes Arjuna get bewildered. Whether Arjuna knows or not, definitely we don't know. So therefore, he's just asking for explanation. So this is the entire chapter is in this one single Excel. And let's see what Krishna is saying. So Brahman has 7-8 meanings. So one is the Brahma Jyoti, which is the effulgence of God, or the first level of understanding of Krishna is Brahman. Also refers to the life, right? Living entity. Brahma also refers to our Lord Brahma, right? Who's the secondary creator. But here, particularly, they are talking about living entity, right? So it's living entity, and why it is called Jivatma, and it is indestructible. Adi Atma. So Adi Atma, Adi Buddha, Adi Deva, I'll tell at one shot. Before that, I'll tell you about karma, which is the third one. So karma is basically nothing but fruit of activities, right? So it's a work. What you work, what you do is karma. But the result of that, right? So whatever action you do or whatever work you do, that results in a particular body, right? That is only karma. So actions leading to a particular material body. So you do good karma, you get, you go to heaven, right? So you'll have the demigod kind of body. You do bad karma, you go to hell. So you'll need that kind of a body, and you'll go to animal planets like a pig or a dog, right? For that, whatever suits is karma. Now, Adi Atma is the nature of the jiva. So what do you mean by nature? So the taste of chili is like very spicy, right? So that's the nature of the chili. So Adi Atma basically is nothing but mainly the controller of the body. So we will see more, I know, at this point in time. So Adi Atma, we already read, right? Adi Atmika Klesha, the mind and the body, whatever disturbance, that was the first time. So this is directly controller of the body. Now, Adi Bhuta is talking about the nature, material nature. Whatever you see outside, right? All the material manifestations, material nature is the Adi Bhuta. Adi Deva, all of you all know Deva means demigod. So the universal form, we are going to see that in the 11th chapter, which includes the demigods, right? So the universal form of Krishna, including the demigods, is Adi Deva. Adi Yagna is very straight. Adi Yagna. Yagna itself, Yagna Purusha is Krishna, Vishnu. So that's the Paramatma, four-handed form. And where it is in the heart region, right? So it's in the heart of all. And how to remember Krishna at the time of death? Only through practice. We already saw this enough, right? How do you write your exam well successfully? By studying, practicing many times. Same way, Krishna conscious suddenly at the time of death won't come. You keep practicing. So just by practice, you attain perfection. So is this sheet clear? Because I'm going to explain based on this. Is it sort of, I know it's going to be heavy, but do you understand the very basic, or you're stuck at any of this? Hare Krishna. If I don't get an objection, I always assume it's a yes, and you're very clear. So I'm going ahead. Hare Krishna. So 8.3, yes, go ahead and read. Hare Krishna.
The Supreme Lord said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called the Self. Action tentating to the development of these material bodies is called karma, or fruitive activities.
Hare Krishna. So very clearly, right? The indestructible, because Brahman is self, it is not destroyable or destructible, and it's a living entity. And any action pertaining to this development of the body, right, is called karma. So action pertaining to the development of the body is called karma, and that obviously is nothing but action, right? Fruit of activities. So if you see body, we keep thinking it will not change, but it changes. Once in 7 years, all cells, even scientifically, has proved that it changes, right? And therefore, we do a particular action. If you do pious, I said you go to demigod, feeling which you come. So this is an example which talks about the caterpillar becoming a butterfly, because it constantly keeps thinking of the butterfly, right? And that's what this verse is all about. Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Physical nature is known to be endlessly mutable. The universe is cosmic form of the Supreme Lord, and I am the Lord represented as a super soul, dwelling in the heart of every embodied being.
So it very clearly says that the physical nature is, it keeps on changing, right? Continuously mutable, going through changes, and how it becomes in this case is because it keeps constantly meditating. So what they are saying is very similar, right? So it will come later in the purport. It says that if we keep meditating, obviously we will also be able to reach Krishna. So this is can anyone tell me who's in the picture?
Bhishma Pitama.
Yes, very nice. Bhishma Pitama. And what is the story? What is happening there?
Ma'am, he is
He's lying on the arrow bed.
arrows. He is laying on the bed of arrows, which Mata Amba herself had cursed Bhishma to do.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, he's in bed of roses, and Yudhishthira has won, and he's confused whether to take over the kingdom because he's feeling guilty. So Krishna creates the time, right? He makes it a point and brings them here so that they can all listen to the advice of Bhishma. So you see, Narada is there, Vyasa is there, along with Panchapandava and Draupadi. All are in the point, right? Hare Krishna. So 8.5. Antakale cha mam eva Shmaran mukva kalevaram yah prayati sabat bhavam yati nasti atra samshayah. Hare Krishna. Yeah,
Hare Krishna Mataji. And whoever at the time of the death quits his body remembering me alone at once attains my nature of this, there is no doubt.
so he very clearly says at the time of death, it's a continuation. I'll tell you how, right? At the time of death, whoever at the time of death quits his body remembering me. So when dying, when you remember Antakali, right? We saw what should be done at the time of the final death, right? Antakale chamam, Shmaran Mukta, always keeps thinking of me, right? So, and at once attains my nature. My nature means what? You'll reach his param board, right? Samshaya, without a doubt, right? So guarantee. So that's what Krishna is telling in this chapter. Now, this is a very stunning and a hilarious thing. So does anyone know the story of Yudhishthira and the, when they are in the exile and they go to the forest, right? And they see the water. They want to drink water, but one after the other, everybody dies.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, please go ahead and tell your friends.
Mataji, it was the story where the god Karma, he wanted to test if the brothers were actually following the path of Karma. And so one day when Nakul went to get water, he suddenly fainted on the river bed, and suddenly Sahadev, Arjun and Bhima all together, when they came, they too fainted. At last, when Yudhishthira came near the riverbed, he understood that, intimidating this spirit, whoever is here, will not work. So he sat down, trying not to intimidate whoever is here, and he said, whatever test you will give me, I will fulfill.
Mhm.
And so the god came out in the form of a water demon and said that, I will take all your brothers' lives, but you can save one of your brothers if you answer my riddle. And he asked Yudhishthira, what is the meaning of life? And Yudhishthira gave a very nice answer, but Yudhishthira could not decide on which brother to save. And so in the end, after the god in the form of demon was very prasanna with Yudhishthira, so he decided to show his real form, and he put his brothers out of sleep. So that is the story.
Very nice, Hare Krishna. So the answer he gives is, yes, he gives an answer. He says, I am there alive for Kunti. So one of them, that is Nakula Saka, will be brought back to life. That is what he said.
One of the son of Madri. So,
Hare Krishna. So there is of the hundreds of questions which are asked, this is one question, okay, which is shortlisted here. Hare Krishna. Ahani bhutani gachanti ayamalayam sheshah sthavaram ichanti kimasharyam athaha param. Yeah, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hundreds and thousands of living entities meet death at every moment. But the foolish living being nonetheless thinks himself deathless and does not prepare for death. This is the most wonderful thing in this world. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So this is a thing, right? Everyone who's born knows that they're going to die. In spite of that, and we feel that the death will come, but not for us. For example, if you take all of us, even me, when it was COVID, right? So when I got COVID, I started thinking, no, I think it's my routine. Every time January, after 2 or 3 days, I fall sick. Throat is paining, symptoms were all prompt, but the mind never got to accepting that I will have COVID. So this is what is the most important point, right? So this is what is they're talking about. So why I'm saying is because the mind never accepts things. So he says the most. So what is the question? The question is, what is the most stunning thing? What is the most shocking, wonderful thing? He says, right before the eyes, many people die, but the point is right? Nobody thinks that death will come to him. So this is what he says. So it's a continuation, which I'll do that later. So now 8.6, I'll come back to the story of the deer. You will ask me, right? When will I know the story? That's going to come now. After this verse, Hare Krishna. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tvaje ante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitah. Hare Krishna.
Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail.
Hare Krishna. So, yam yam vyapi smaran bhavam. That means at the time of death, right? Tyaje ante kalevaram. Ante kalevaram, the final stage. What do I think? Tam tam evaiti kaunteya, right? Whatever state we are. Sada tad bhava bhavitaha. So that is what you will attain without fail. So now this is going back to the story of Bharat Maharaj, and he was very profoundly in deep liking towards the deer. He started thinking personal responsibility, right? If the deer goes, what will happen to the deer? And that day when the deer didn't come, he goes in search of the deer. Also because of the fact that he feels that maybe the deer is eaten by an animal, or maybe I didn't take care of the deer well, that the deer left. And imagine he left his family, kingdom, and then he got into the interest of a deer. Instead of doing yagnas, it's become like literally a mrityachara. Of course, we can't comment on him. He is in a very high stage of bhakti, right? Which is second highest, which is called the bhava. And at that time, he falls off from the cliff and then dies. But when he dies and he takes the other body, he gets into the body of a deer, but he has complete memory. He remembers all of that, and he takes the body and goes to the same place where he was doing the yagna. And naturally, the deer will have natural death. And then he takes another body called the Jada Bharata, and that story will continue again in the coming chapters. So this is all in Bhagavatam. I told you, right? Bhagavatam is so interesting that so many stories do coming up. So therefore, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam taje ante kalevaram, right? At this time of thing, tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. So that is what will happen. Now, two things we saw. 8.5, okay, this is a picture, right? He dies, and that we saw. Now, what happens is two things. One is, he says, well, at the time of death, if remembering me, at once you'll reach me, and here, whatever you think at the time of death. Therefore, so normally a statement doesn't start with therefore. In this case, it does, because it's a continuation of this. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manushmaran yudhyacha mayarpita mano buddhir mame vaishyasya asamshayah. So very clearly he says, therefore, always, the reading is for you. Sorry, go ahead, please read.
Therefore,
Yes.
Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in a form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out with your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt.
Hare Krishna. So this one, can you see who's in the picture? Anyone?
Mataji, is it Krishnji?
No, not Krishna, will be blue.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
No, that's a good guess, but no. You'll know him. He's Prahlad. So Prahlad goes to his Gurukul, right? And he's got all his friends who are again the mini demons children. And over there, because Prahlad comes from the demon family, if you see. And he goes there and he is constantly chanting the glories. So like Prahlad, we should all become like 24/7, think of the glories of Krishna. This is what they are. So 8.8, so that's a package, right? So Ante Kale Chamam Cheva, so that's one. So Yam Yam Vyapi Smaran Bhavam. So therefore, what you happens, so whatever you think, that's what you become. You become a deer. Tasmat Sarveshu. Therefore, at the time of death, think of me. So it's like a package of 3. Now what is happening? 8.8, Krishna is telling what you should tell. Hare Krishna. Abhyasha yoga tena chetasana gamina paramam purusham divyam yati partanu chintayan. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. He who meditates on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Parth Arjuna, is sure to reach me.
He says very clearly, he who meditates on Krishna, right? His mind is constantly engaged on me, and the path is undeviated, surely will reach me. So therefore, obviously, that person is what he's talking about. This is a very nice story of Ajamila. Now, Ajamila is a Brahmin, proper hardcore Veda, everything he follows. He's married, everything is perfectly set, but his father tells him one day to go to the woods and pick up, all the woods, right? For that, he goes for puja. And that time he sees a prostitute. This prostitute is with one guy, a typical, they are all smeared in sandalwood. This story is also from Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is a true story. And and their eyes are rolling, they are very intoxicated. And at once, though he is there, he thinks he should not see them, but he is trying to stay there and chant some names of God. But obviously his mind is there, right? So we say that is why of all the senses, mind becomes the highest of sense. And he doesn't leave the place, which is the cause of the confusion. And then he gets so attracted that after he left also, the image, right? The impressions are lingering in his mind, that he immediately at once goes to, what he does is at once he decides that he will bring this prostitute home. He brings her and forces his wife, telling that she needs support, maid, which she says she doesn't, but he insists. And later, you know what would have happened. They found in the house and they literally got upset with him. They couldn't change, and he abandoned the entire family. And at the age of, if I'm right, 88, yes, 88, he had a 2-year-old son. And he did all. See, imagine if he's a Brahmin and he goes to a house, they'll respect him. If he is like this, who's going to give him money, right? So he gets into all sorts of robbery, wrong things, and then he gets very attracted with this particular girl, and they both drink together, because she says, I want to drink and you give me company, and he surrenders. At the age of 88, what happens is he has a small child, a 2-year-old child, and thankfully he's named the child as Narayana. So he calls Narayana, and when Narayana, he calls immediately the first, prior to that, all Yamadutas would have come to kill him. But the moment he says, this is a picture, the moment he says Narayana, all Vishnu Dutas come, and there is a big fight. And this is where, you have what's called the second chance. This book is there in the Veda base. You can see this is also in the Bhagavatam, but seventh canto. But then there's a separate book called the second chance, which is also there in Veda base, which talks about the nice, beautiful conversation between the two. So you can, please, when you have time, please go read that book, very interesting book. And both keep arguing, telling that, hey, he's called Narayana name, you can't take. And Yamaduma telling, but he didn't call Lord Narayana, he called his son. He says, doesn't matter. Any form of Lord called accidentally, intentionally for fun has the same potency, because the name of the God and the form is not different. Then he understands, he gets a second chance, and then he goes straight to Haridwar. 12 years he's in Haridwar, and upon death, he comes to Vaikuntha. It's called Sarupya liberation. Liberation is of 5 types. Sarupya is taking the same form, and Saloka is taking the same place, like same country, or like Vaikuntha means Vaikuntha, Ayodhya means Ayodhya. Samipya, right, is being the personal associate, and Shrishti is taking the Sashti, so is basically having the opulence of Krishna or the Lord, right? If you're in Vaikuntha, it is that. And Sayujna is merging with the Lord, which is not considered as liberation, but broadly, these are the categories. So he took the same Rupa, that is why he's having the 4-handed form, right? And now 8.9, Hare Krishna. Yeah, go ahead.
One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he is who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is the smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like sun, and being transcendental is beyond his material nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he says you should meditate upon the Supreme Person, right? The one who knows everything and is the oldest, and the controller is smallest, and the meter of everything, right? And he is like the sun, so brilliant, right? How is he small? Because he is now situated next to the soul, and we know the size of the soul is so tiny, right? It's what's the size of the soul we read in the second chapter?
1 by 1, 10,000 parts of hair.
Yeah, 1 by 10,000 part of the tip of the hair, right? So you can imagine how tiny the soul is. So now this is, can someone tell me who is this Vishnu behind? While you keep telling, I'm going to check. So Brahma, when demigods come and ask for Krishna to come, he is now meditating on a particular Vishnu. Which Vishnu is this?
Mataji, your question was not clear.
Sorry, I can't hear you. Your voice is too feeble.
Your question was not clear.
There are 3 Vishnus, right? Yesterday I did show you. One is Karno Dakshai Mahavishnu. Another one is Garbho Dakshai, and there is one more Vishnu called the Shiro Dakshai, which is the Paramatma in the heart of everyone. So which Vishnu is there in the picture here behind the top of Brahma?
Garbho Dakshai.
No, it's Karno Dakshai. Sorry, Shiro Dakshai. Because Garbho Dakshai will have in his navel, here in his navel there is nothing. So he is the Paramatma, right? So he is meditating to the Paramatma, which is the Shiro Dakshai Vishnu. Thank you so much for trying. Hare Krishna. Now this is Shiva, and Shiva, is in Padma Puran. Parvati is asking, "What are you meditating on? All the time you keep meditating. What are you meditating on?" So he sings that song, Hare Krishna. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param tasmat parataram devi tadyartham samarchanam. Of all aradhanas, Vishnu's aradhana is the highest, and above that is the devotee of Vishnu. So he says, always I keep thinking of Vishnu. Hare Krishna. And so this one is talking about like jail, right? So whatever we are here, it's not like a hotel, but it's a jail. So 8.15, Mam upetya punarjanma dukkalayam ashashvatam na bhuvanti mahatmanah samsiddhim paramam gatah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection.
So he says, after you come to me, right, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never come back to this temporary world. Dukalyam ashashvatam. It's a place of misery and temporary. Ashashvatam means temporary, right? So they will never come back here, because once you reach the Krishna's abode, why would you want to do so? This is a picture, right? And 8.16, please read, ma. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all the places of miseries wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again.
So he says that wherever it is, right, you will go up to up here or down, right, they will come back here. But if they come to my abode, there is no return. So now what is happening is heaven, right? If you do pious activity, you go to heaven. But is heaven so come? We are keep talking about the constant fights between the heaven demigods and the asuras. So that's there. About earth, we don't have to tell. We have experience of bomb blast and all. And hell is anyway such a pain, right? So we don't want to get into any of it. So this is the biggest challenge which we are facing in the Kali Yuga. Not only in this Yuga, all the Yugas, this is the constant thing. So go back to Krishna Loka, absolute peace of mind. There is no confusion, and eternal bliss and happiness is always there. Hare Krishna. So 8.17 to 19, which talks about the duration of Brahma. What and all happens during Brahma's time. Yes, please read. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Right.
Krishna.
By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. Hare Krishna. Ma'am, Mataji, next we also have to read.
Go ahead and read that all.
When Brahma's day is manifest, this multitude of living entities comes into being, and at the arrival of Brahma's night, they are all annihilated. Again and again, the day comes, and this host of beings is active, and again the night falls, O Partha, and they are helplessly dissolved. Hare Krishna.
So the life of Brahma is 311.04 trillion years, right? And what happens during one day of Brahma? Day of Brahma, Brahma is there to take care of us. But during the night of Brahma, he has to sleep, right? Nobody to supervise. So everything gets irradiated. So everything completely diminished, destroyed. So during the night of Brahma, everything goes to a toss. So that is what he is talking about. So during the night of Brahma, everything goes into Vishnu, right? And it's sleeping there. It's in an annihilated sleep state. Again, when day comes, everybody starts off with the activity and start running around, just like your holiday, right? You're going on a holiday, you sleep, and you have a plan at 4 o'clock, you get up and you want to go for water sports. What will you do? As soon as you wake up, your thought will be, oh my God, water sports. Is the alarm right? Or let's say if it's an exam, you get up, oh my God, exam, alarm, did it ring? Right? So that is the same mood. So after everything world gets annihilated, and this is called partial annihilation, where I told you all 14 planetary systems. Divya, if you have not been there, just check the recording. It's Goloka chart. So the top three, which I told you, right? Satyaloka, where Brahma is there and Brahma's sons are there, Tapaloka. The top three lokas alone are not at all annihilated. They are permanently there, right? In the sense during the day. But they also, after the death of Brahma, which is 100 years, which I just told you, is 311.04 trillion years, even the top three lokas can go off, right? They all get destroyed. So 8.20, he's talking about his abode. Yes. Hare Krishna. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Yet there is another nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this, manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never inhibited when all in the world is. Mataji, the color is getting very vibrant and
Yeah, annihilated. No problem.
That
Annihilated. That part remains as it is. So he's saying, right? So annihilation keeps constantly happening. We don't know what is going to happen, but he says there is that particular part. Nothing happens to that part. And what is that part? Which remains as it is the spiritual world. So he says that spiritual world alone, nothing happens and everything remains unchanged. Hare Krishna. Right. So this is the. So I just want to quickly summarize this. Can you see the screen? Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, Mataji.
Sorry, just 1 second. So what is Krishna telling? So what, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Okay, I can see you, Mataji. Yeah. It's okay.
You can see me? Okay. So what they are telling is there is this loka, right, which is Krishna loka, that alone does not get annihilated. It's eternal and it is permanently there. So that's the speciality of that particular loka. So Krishna is inviting, right? It's a very beautiful communication, right? Krishna is telling, please come to me in every form, he says, right? The first time, 8.5 also, he says, Antakali, whatever you think you will become. And yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. So therefore, and these two are connecting. So he says, you think of me, you'll reach me. Whatever you think, only you'll become. Therefore, you think only of me all the time and come to my abode, because during Brahma's time, you'll get annihilated. But my abode is never annihilated and you're all welcome there. So this is like a personal invitation by Krishna to all of us, right? And 9th chapter is the most confidential knowledge. It's like a personal letter. Krishna is writing a letter. Bhagavad Gita is a letter to each one as to what we have to do. So that is something which I just thought I'd share. And with this, we are at the end of the chapter. Is there any other doubts you all have about the chapter? Any doubts? Please go back and read at least the text in these chapters, because this, I told you, right, it starts with, it's a bit heavy because it starts with questions, right? So obviously, since it starts with 8 questions, it becomes very difficult as well for us to remember. So, so that's one thing which I wanted to tell. So is there any questions you have? If you don't have any questions, then I will take Vancha kalpa darubhyasya kripa sindhubhya evacha atitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Come on, all of you, one time. I will take you the bridge to the bridge after this. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yeah, so remember yesterday I was giving you a quick introduction of mind control, which is what I'm going to take for the next 2 days. And being a slave to a bad habit or a servant to the good habit is our choice, right? So now we saw all this. We saw how we are just for a dot of nectar, we have to go through all these challenges. And now mind currently is our worst enemy, but we want to make it a best friend. And the purpose of mind control is modern society. You see so much chaos, so much of terrorism, so many things happening, suicides, murders, and all that. Invariably, India happens to be the one of the largest tobacco and alcohol seller also. With all this, how can you break yourself free from all this? There are three methods. The first method, which we will discuss today, is the physical method, which you'll be familiar with, right? We did it in 6th chapter. So I'm not going to repeat in detail, but in short, all the various yogasanas, the pranayama, the breathing exercise, kriya, right? The purification techniques, the sitting postures, all this matters, right? You have eating and sleeping. You have to early to raise is making a person healthy and wise, right? Food in the mode of goodness is going to make yourself very pure and otherwise, if you're going to take anything, which we are going to do in the 17th chapter, so I'm not going to get in depth, but very spicy food is passion and very old stale food is ignorance. So they recommend to eat sattvic food like this, very tasty, very healthy, very buttery, creamy, rich, right? So that's the first point. And urgency to importance, very important for us. So what is some, it's called the box, right? XY circle where you prioritize your work. So what happens is, let's say that you have to study. It is important, may not be urgent, right? But if you are talking about smoking, it is neither urgent nor important. So put it in that box. If you have your exam, oh my God, it's definitely urgent and it's important, right? And generally not very important, but a bit urgent if you have to check in something like a news, it will come there. And cleaning the room, it is important, but it's not urgent. It's like tomorrow exam is there. I've seen many of them who say that I have to keep my room clean. Fine, but that's not the point for action now. So we have to get our priorities right. And based on the priorities, there are 4 categories of people. So the procrastinators who always keep postponing things are always in stress, anxiety, they're burnt out, they're tired. The second quadrant is the prioritized. They control the life. They have balanced and they have high performance, right? The one here. The others, right? Not urgent. We were talking about one. They are very irresponsible. They are guilty and picky. That's a kind. And somebody who's not in the third quadrant. So which I should have actually told you first is the yes man, right? For everything he will tell yes. Yes, he doesn't have discipline, but he will just follow the boss. It's a very funny story called The Liquid Beauty. So this guy is a prince, right? And he is very much attracted by one beautiful girl, very beautiful, and she's living on her own without parents. So this prince is more lustically involved, attracted with her, and he wants to take her into his palace. Now she can't say no because he will kill her. So she uses her intelligence and says, "Give me 2 weeks time. 2 weeks, don't disturb me, but at the end of 2 weeks, yeah, please come, I'll be waiting right here." So he actually leaves, and after 2 weeks, can you see her? She used to be so beautiful. She's become so emaciated and so ugly looking, and she's lost so much weight. And he's looking for what happened to the girl, and she shares 2 pots. So what has happened is she's taken a lot of medicines where she was vomiting and she was passing stool. So one is filled with stool and one is filled with vomit. Yak, na? So the same yak. So she says, "This is only liquid beauty. That's it. This is my beauty." And obviously he's so frustrated. The point here is not about her intelligence, but it's about the fact that whatever we see as beautiful, right, is faded. For example, who is this actress? Does anyone know who is she? No one. Okay. I'm going to then show you what happens. So we see many times we feel this guy has got an animal face because it's just previous birth directly transformed from one of these faces. Right? And so this is again another funny story. There is a brahmacharya whom his guru leaves him and tells him to take a house. And Brahmins, brahmacharyas wear just 2 set of clothes. One they wash and put, the other one they just wear. And when the clothes getting dried, he felt that the rat eats off the cloth. So he feels his rat seems to be very difficult to manage, and he sets the rat trap, which is a cat. He's not able to manage the cat. It becomes very difficult for him. And then he has this cow. right? So he feels for a rat to beat the rat, he keeps a cat, and to manage the cat's food, he gets a cow. And then he can't manage the cow, so he gets married to a woman. So after many few years, right, the owner, that is a sannyasi guru, returns home and he sees this. This is his family. Right? The person said, like, so I can see all smiles too. So all of them, are like these families so big, right? So the brahmachari is no more there. That's what is happening for us. So this is a very important point in mind control. Please pay focus, because this is something which we have read in management too. But see, it is not what happens to us, right? Teacher scolding you. Some kids cry, some get angry, some just laugh. Why it's the same kid, same class, same age, probably same gender too? Why kids react different? Because it's not what really happens to us, but our response to what happens to us. Right? It's not really like mama scolding, why you get upset? But somebody is shouting in the road, you don't even care, right? Because it's how you take it. So you have what's called the circle of influence and the circle of concern. So if you see an ugly boy, a public image, smart, unless people teasing you, people love you, exam result, all this, are the circle of concern. Oh, this guy is so nice, but I'm not looking good. This girl has got a pretty face, but I'm running out of it. Yes. What is your circle of influence? What you can control? You can be punctual? Yes. Be sincere? Yes. Can you have a self-discipline and study well for the exam? Yes. This is all you can control. Beyond this, you don't know how the paper will be, which teacher will be an examiner. No. So don't focus on things which you can't control, but focus only on things which you can. So what is proactive and reactive behavior? Proactive people focus on the circle of influence, what they can influence, right? Work on things they can do. Reactive people are focused on the circle of concern. That's the only concern, what they can do. Inside out is, if you see proactive people, they are very patient. Right? They will be more cooperative. They will be more wise. Right? They are more of very balanced people. Whereas reactive is, had I had good, had I had a better college or better school, they will go on. So problem solving to, sorry, just give me a second. Be free, right? Problem, direct control of problem is with our behavior. But we can do our behavior, right? We cannot solve. So indirectly control problem is others' behavior, right? We go and change others' behavior. The solution is everything should be us. Some problems we cannot do anything. Just smile and accept it and a meaningful player. Oh Lord, give me the courage to change the things which can and be changed, the serenity to accept the things which cannot be changed, and the wisdom show the difference, right? So a good prayer, what matters. So with this, we will end the physical methods and we will touch upon mental methods tomorrow, right? Hare Krishna. Any doubts? Thank you so much. No doubts at all clear. I'm going to play the video. Hopefully it should be there. And this one, can anyone tell me how many years back you had your CTC scan and all that? CTC, all your scan reports. The child is a newborn child, right? So how many years back did you do all that? Would anybody know that? At least 100 years before, at least your grandmother would have not done CT scan, right? So Bhagavatam, which was written 5,000 years back, spoke about CT scan. And this is picture. So I'm going to share this picture. And after you see the picture, can someone tell me who's going to chant? How many days? 8 days. So how many times should we chant?
48 times, Mataji.
Sorry, Google.
48 times, Mataji.
I can't hear you.
48 times, Mataji.
Thank you so much. So who's going to do the chanting today? Gungun, you will chant today?
Yes, sure, Mataji, of course.
Thank you so much, dear. Hare Krishna. So I'm going to show you this video. So let me just, and yes.
body is no more usable. Then the body is finished and the soul again enters another body. This is called transmigration. What is the next body you are going to get? You must have information.
Hare Krishna. Did you see the video? Very stunning, right? You wouldn't have expected that, this kind of thing. 5,000 years back, they could really tell which age hands are developed, which age parts of the body are developed. Even CT scan, I think about 50 years back was there, but then was very unclear, right? So 100 years back, I don't even know if it was there. Our grandparents would have not seen our CT scan, right? Hare Krishna. So thank you so much. With this, we'll conclude this session. Do you all have any doubts?
No, Mataji.
Doubts? We will move on. Yes. Hare Krishna, Divya. Hare Krishna. All of you, Hare Krishna. Tell one loud, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Mataji.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Prabhu, we can stop the recording.